You know, Capcom, for the most part, is one of the, I guess, biggest video game developers out there, in terms of name, in terms of popularity, the games they put out. A lot of what they've done has been great, especially this year with the re-release of Resident Evil 4 remake, with Street Fighter 6. I know for a fact we're going to get a Monster Hunter game later down the line, but you look at Capcom, I mean, the company is like really different now than it was back in the day in terms of what they focus on genre wise in terms of video games. And what you see with Capcom is that obviously they're trying to appeal to casuals because they're trying to earn more money. And you look at their most successful franchises, you got, Street Fighter, you got Resident Evil, you got Monster Hunter. I think those are the big ones that I just mentioned. But I think one of the series that was like popular back in the 90s and hasn't really been popular since was Darkstalkers. And obviously, I think the Darkstalkers series got started back in the mid 90s, like in 94 or something. And pretty much it was like a fighting game with basically just like demons and abnormal creatures and all that stuff. And Darkstalkers, I feel like had the potential to be more popular than what it became, because after like the 90s it just fizzled out because you had like the trilogy of Darkstalkers games that appeared on the PS1, and then you had Darkstalkers Resurrection, which appeared on multiple game systems back in 2013. And since then we haven't really heard anything about Darkstalkers, nothing big or anything like that. And I believe there was an animated series for Darkstalkers for a brief time period, like sometime in 1997. um I think I saw some of that. I didn't see the whole thing. And what I saw, I don't even think it was in English, but the anime was actually okay. It was nothing great, but it wasn't horrible either. And it was very short as well. But at the same time, Darkstalkers never had the appeal that other fighting games had, whether it be Street Fighter, whether it be Tekken, whether it be Mortal Kombat. And that should be another thing. When it came down to the fighting genre, it was very competitive back in the 90s, and it's still like really competitive in this day and age. And some people have been saying on Reddit and on like internet forums whether or not Capcom should bring back the Darkstalkers series. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who would love to see that. But the thing is, I don't think Darkstalkers is going to be a huge draw in terms of revenue for Capcom, which is probably why they haven't really done anything with it for the most part. And don't get me wrong, um, Darkstalkers have it breeded some very popular characters like Morgan, like Felicia. I think those are the main two because you have other characters like Donovan and Dimitri that don't get talked about nearly as much. And I do feel that for the most part, those characters having them in crossover Capcom games where you have multiple characters from different series, that's something that Capcom should continue doing. And it's most likely something they're going to continue doing. And I honestly feel like them bringing back Darkstalkers is not necessarily it's not necessarily going to be as it's not going to be worth it for the most part because like even though like the nostalgia is strong with that series, um again, the fighting genre is not what it used to be in terms of popularity. A lot of people love action RPGs, they love action adventure games, they love shooter games. And gaming in general is just changing for the most part. You have more people who are into mobile games nowadays. You have more people who are into battle lobby, like battle arena type games. And for the most part, I think Capcom is aware of what sells and what doesn't, and because of that, Darkstalkers has been put on the back burner. And I do feel that for the most part, um, like the series itself definitely could have been more popular than it was if it was marketed right, back in the 90s. But for the most part, um, you know, a lot of people haven't really shown too much interest in the series or anything like that because I haven't really seen petitions or anything like that for like a Darkstalkers 4 or anything. And it seems like the only character that people really want to see from the series is Morgan. So If that's the case, I mean, if there's ever another Marvel versus Capcom game, I'm pretty sure, she's definitely going to be in it. But at this point, I have no idea whether or not we're even going to get that because Marvel versus Capcom Infinite um, kind of bombed because it wasn't the game that people thought it was. It wasn't as good as Marvel versus Capcom 3. And Marvel versus Capcom Infinite came off as boring in comparison to Marvel versus Capcom 3 because the roster, because of its art design, and because of the fact that the music was subpar compared to what we got in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So, um, as far as another Darkstalkers game is concerned, it seems very unlikely in the future.